be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
By focusing on your improvement, by focusing on your progress, and eliminating any fixed mindset that you may have and acts of perfectionism, then you encourage your own mastery.
On some level, we do what we want to do 24 hours a day. Now, sometimes it may not seem like that, but if I'm choosing to work instead of sleep, what I'm actually saying is keeping my job is more important than sleeping.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat. What can I do to get over this hump? So mentally, that's when I kind of put that forefront, like, hey, it's either all or nothing.
I like to put failure in quotations because I don't believe that failure is true failure if you're looking at it with the right mindset.
The truth is, the journey to greatness is hard. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes focus, and every day you have to decide what you value, what you want to pursue, and what you want to achieve. And if you dig deep enough, if you push hard enough, we all have what it takes to be great. Welcome to the Edge of Greatness.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Dose. It is February 13th, Monday. And if you can't tell, I'm still holding on to whatever this thing is that's in my throat. So I am going to try to make this a relatively short one just because I still want to get something out there to you, but I don't want to spend too much time on the mic talking like this. It just sounds funny, and maybe it's funnier in my head than it is on the mic, but I don't know. But, you know, as most of you who have been listening to this show for a while know, I'm a huge, huge sports fan. I love championship settings. And it's funny, though, how we've gotten to this point in our society and where we're at, where our natural instinct after every loss that our team has is to point fingers at something that we can't control. That, to me, is part of our problem when it comes to trying to chase greatness. Look, I'm not saying there weren't any bad calls. I'm not saying they weren't at bad times. But the truth is that unless there are consistent, egregious calls that block moments from happening in the game, which there weren't. I watched the game. There were bad calls. There were bad calls both ways. Did the Eagles get a few more bad calls? Possibly. I didn't have any dog in the fight, so I don't know. I didn't like the last call, the pass interference. I didn't. And, you know, here's the thing. That bad call was still a right call. By the letter of the law, still a right call. If I'm that official, do I throw that flag? Man, I don't know. I might swallow that one. It might not have been enough. But the bottom line is it was thrown. And the other thing is that wasn't the reason why the Eagles lost. The truth is, if Kansas City's kicker kicks that field goal earlier in the game, you know what they're doing right there? They're just taking a knee and letting this game go to the end of the game. Like, there are things that happen throughout every game, throughout everything in your life. There are moments that had they gone a different way, that later activity that we had to face wouldn't have mattered. If you want to achieve a high level of excellence, if you want to find greatness in your life, there needs to be a level of personal accountability in everything you do. We need to stop looking at bad calls as the reason why we didn't win a game, or traffic as the reason why we're late, or the dog ate my homework. Stop blaming others for what's not going right and look inward and own what you can do better. Excuse me, there's that cough. I knew it was coming. But like I said, I want to keep this one a little bit short because, as you can tell, there's that cough. I think it's gonna find its way back. But let's start to let's start to look inward and see where we can improve. Let's start to pay attention to the little things that we can do better and stop giving power to things that are out of our control. As always, guys, keep reaching for the stars. Fall flat on your face, but remember, whenever we fall, always get up.
Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.